I want to share another book that has influenced my thinking as a career coach. And it is this book by Paul Tillich called The Courage to Be. It was written in 1952. Tillich is a theologian and philosopher. It's a really hard book, and there was a lot in it that I missed because I squandered my liberal arts education, and I am not as widely read in philosophy, theology, and even history and political philosophy as a good reader of this should be. Nonetheless, really, there are some themes that I see in my career coaching practice that come through as deep human needs and deep human anxieties. I wanted to read this book because I hear so often about disillusionment, cynicism, despair, anxiety around security, anxiety around sort of a misplaced idealism, and perfectionism and guilt and shame. And these themes are huge. So what Tillich said is there are three unavoidable causes of anxiety that we cannot get rid of because we are human. There is the risk of fate and death, right? Bad things can happen to us beyond our control and we are going to die. That's unavoidable. And the anxiety that it creates, the unhealthy manifestation of that is a fixation on security. How can you establish security, and sort of hamster wheel focus on that. The second unavoidable part of being human is that we will always fall short of our moral and even sort of, probably for most of us, logistical aspirations for ourselves. We are not perfect, and we can feel and see that gap, and worse still, other people can see it too. So this anxiety around guilt, shame, and condemnation, the judgment of others, and our own feelings of falling short of our expectations, those are unavoidable. And the anxiety around managing that, right, like the unhealthy fixation on that, can create perfectionism, sort of a punitive kind of self-discipline, get a hold of yourself, right? A feeling that like if you cut yourself a break, everything will fall apart. Those are the unhealthy manifestations of that underlying human anxiety. And then the third unavoidable human experience is emptiness and meaninglessness, right? Like what if there's no point in anything? And that, in an unhealthy way leads to either cynicism or certitude, this unhealthy belief that like, no, I am looking for a certainty that maybe a conviction that I'm attaching myself to, or just a sort of despair that there is no meaning to anything. So he sort of talks about all the ways we have tried to stave off these unpleasant feelings of despair and anxiety in human history. He really says often these anxieties were staved off by these external structures, institutions, religions, political beliefs, the ways we have structured society, and that when those fall apart, there is a sort of detachment from some of the things that sort of kept us from the abyss. But he really says there are kind of two ways to stave this off. One is sort of other focused. So you are aligning yourself with something bigger than you, and taking comfort in the structures that has created to hopefully sort of outlast or, just have the courage to go on in the face of these three terrifying concepts. And the other is sort of to assert your selfhood and reject some of those things and try to find meaning, create your own meaning rather than adopting a meaning from someone else. And that those, he really says there's a kind of mysticism and belief in either of those paths. I am thinking of Jonathan Haidt's idea of elevation, the feeling that we feel, the yearning and the nobility that we feel when we watch others doing morally good acts. And then I'm thinking about personal mysticism in a variety of ways, whether that is meditation, whether there's sort of acts of transcendence, even psychedelics. I think the one of the lines that I think is really interesting is probably neither completely self-affirming nor completely sort of embracing the ideal of some external structure is probably the path through. He says, the one highlighted line was, only in the continuous encounter with other persons does the person become and remain a person. The place of this encounter is the community. And certainly I hear from clients this longing to belong, this longing to find something worthy of them that they can do alongside others, and this longing to help others, right? So there is a rich field of thinking around the underlying causes of some of the dissatisfaction you may have about work. I have, even scratching the surface of this book, I found much to recognize and much to deepen my career coaching conversations with people who are really trying to strike a path and resolve some of these really fundamentally human questions about what do we do with our time, what is worth doing in the world, and how do we have the courage to move forward, even if we can't have fundamental security, even if we can't have perfection in the alignment of what we do, and even if, we have to maybe create our own meaning. I think there is a way forward, and I would love to talk to you about it. Thanks.